Assalamu alaikum and welcome to this video on gut health and how to solve your gut issues naturally, inshallah. Now, before we begin, please make some time away from distractions, your children, your spouse, whatever. Make some time and make this a priority for you. Again, your health is going to be for the rest of your life, and this video could be the pivotal moment for you. It could be the day, inshallah, you start, and may Allah grant you the healing and the strength you need to overcome it. If you haven't prayed obligatory prayers yet, please go pray. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Man alladhi yashfa'u yadahu illa bi'idnih. I know my Arabic is not great, but who can intercede through Allah without His permission? All of your health issues is willed by Allah, and all of them will be cured through the will of Allah. Now, legal disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only. I am not a doctor, but rather I study independently. I was able to cure my own health issues and get off of all medications. I look at third-party testimonials. I look at human trials, what has been shown to be effective, rather than going to traditional education and learn one absolute truth when I know there's more to it. So first, starting with what the medical industry gets wrong. I'm sure you watching this video, you clicked on it because you want to do things naturally. I'm sure you have some frustration with it. It's became entirely capitalistic. It's became profit-driven. And that's why you see it's become a monopoly no matter where you go. It's always the same plan. It's always, oh, you're diagnosed with this problem. Let's give you this drug. And it's incurable, so you have to be on this drug the rest of your life. So it's not addressing root cause. It's rather masking symptoms. It's not even solving them. And over the long term, this could be causing more harm than good. So that's the question you want to ask yourself is, do you want to be on meds your entire life? SubhanAllah. Going into my story, what happened to me, and I'm only in my 20s, and I've experienced several health issues throughout my life, but I now see it as a blessing. I don't see it as a burden, because it's led me up into this point of making this video and now having the information and developing the knowledge, inshallah, to give you the education you need to start your journey. And yeah, I used to have sleep apnea. Doctors gave me a CPAP machine, so I was sleeping with a machine that flows air. I was using that. In my teenage years, I had crazy acne. Not even Accutane could fix it, if you've heard of that drug before. So painful, really embarrassing. Whenever I would smile, move my neck, it would crack, it would bleed when I'm sleeping. Like, I'm talking some pretty severe stuff, given how young I am. And the final nail in the coffin that caused me to really make this a priority and start this whole journey was when I had a life-threatening gut issue, and I was hospitalized. I dropped down to 48 kilograms in the span of, I believe it was 6 or 7 weeks. So I nearly pooped myself to death. SubhanAllah. And now that I look back on it, I wouldn't want it any different. And although I don't want these or wish these issues on anybody because of how painful and difficult it was, I was so surprised when I talked about it on social media how many of you are going through the same things. Alhamdulillah, 6 months later, you can see I'm much better. I've gained weight back, and I'm also off of all medications. And the reason I see that as the most important is because you might feel good on a medication, but it's because it's masking symptoms. You might feel a little bit better in the short term, but you want long-term vitality. You want a long life, but you also don't want it to be miserable. You want to feel good. Now, the first thing we need to do before we even begin actionables is to go over the mindset behind someone that's able to cure their health issues. Now, the first part of the framework is acknowledging that you don't have the diagnosis. When you go in and they give you this diagnosis, you get all scared, you research the symptoms, and every single day you go through this thought loop, and it eventually becomes you. You align with the diagnosis. In your heart, in your mind, it becomes you, it becomes your identity. So anytime you feel a symptom, you say, oh, it's because of this diagnosis. And how can you expect to quit anything? Like sins, for example. How can you expect to quit a sin if you say, I am that sin? Like, I am a smoker. I am whatever. Like, you have to throw it out. You have to take it out. And a lot of people like to talk about how bad their genetics are. I had a video on my Instagram talking about how bad genetics are actually a blessing. So you might be able to find that there. But epigenetics, which is the influence of gene expression, is far more important. So the first step is that you acknowledge that you are not that diagnosis. You can let go of it. And again, you can understand that certain expressions for genes can be turned on and turned off. So it's more than just your genetics. You cannot excuse or justify your health issues because of your genetics, because you can influence your epigenetics. And the last is, don't blame anyone. Don't blame your parents. Don't see this as chaotic and a burden, because it's rather a blessing. Think of the prophets, the story of the prophets, subhanAllah. They went through really difficult things, but that was what they needed to do in order to have greatness and success. So there is no beauty without chaos. There is no amazing life without some hardship. Also, in the afterlife, in the akhirah, your suffering will be such a big reward, so much ajr if you have the intention for Allah, that you're going to start to see it as a more positive thing. And next, after we have the brain, the psychology behind it, we now have the nervous system, which is composed of the brain now. It goes out into the spinal cord, which is your CNS, your central nervous system. And then you have your peripheral nervous system, which in this photo here you can see comprises and extends to the entire body. So the reason this is so incredibly important is because most people are in something called sympathetic nervous system, which means they're in constant fight or flight. They can't focus on anything. They're always in a rush. But our goal is to restore into the natural nervous system, which is our parasympathetic nervous system. And this is exactly what the Prophet ﷺ was in, that allowed him to be relaxed and in touch with himself and in control of himself. Because when you are in fight or flight, you're not in control of yourself. Your nervous system is in control of you. And also, the Prophet ﷺ forbade frantic rushing. I believe it's called ajala. He forbade it. And anytime he was doing anything, he was purely focused on that one thing. In social interactions, he wouldn't just turn his head to listen to someone. He would turn his entire body, lay it down, all distractions, and listen to them. For example, like phones nowadays, we're like constantly multitasking in our environment, then our phone, and then our work, and then like, how can you expect to be in a relaxed nervous system if you're constantly doing these things? But some actionables that'll allow you to do this are getting in touch with the earth through grounding, direct skin contact. So you only need like 20 minutes a day. That's what most of the studies are saying. Decreases inflammation, allows the gut to start repairing itself, because also you're getting the sun too. And then diaphragmatic breathing. So you need to figure out the proper breath, and that's not through the belly. A lot of people say diaphragmatic breathing is through the belly, but it's not. That does not engage the rib cage and the diaphragm properly. There are in-depth videos on how you can do this. I'm not going to talk about that there, but those are the first two things that you should do. Now, the third, while you're doing these things, there's mental virtues that you should repeat. And the more you repeat these things, you don't have to say them out loud, they will go into your subconscious and they will influence what thoughts come up when you're met with a decision. Now, these are that Allah is in control of the time. He is the best of planners. Another part of Ayatul Kursi, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, I love Ayatul Kursi so much, is يَعْلَمُ مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمَا خَلْفَهُمْ. He knows what's in our hands, what's in our control, and everything else is up to Him. So when you're rushing, you are not the controller of time. Why are you trying to influence and dictate time when Allah is the controller, the creator, and the owner of all of it? So once you restore the nervous system, once you acknowledge psychologically that you are not the diagnosis, and you become in this relaxed state, you can now begin. So when we go into what to do outside of the nervous system and the brain, is that timing is so crucial. Most people are implementing these protocols and taking these supplements that are correct in nature, but they're doing them at the completely wrong time, which is actually causing more damage and more harm than good. This is why most people will never fix their gut issues naturally, because they're overwhelmed with so much information once they leave the healthcare space and they go into the wellness space, that they try all these things, they don't even know where to begin, subhanAllah. So, yes, this is the hadith part. The Prophet ﷺ almost made miswak and oral health, that part of his routine, he almost made it mandatory. He said, I want to read it word for word. Prophet ﷺ said, if it were not that I would make things too hard for my followers, I would have commanded them to use miswak before every prayer. So it almost became obligatory. This shows how big of a priority your oral health should be. Because I want you to imagine there's a chemical spill, and all these people are cleaning up the chemical spill, and you're looking like, why aren't they just stopping the spill? It's continuing to spill, but they're trying to clean up the part afterwards. It doesn't make any sense logically. So yeah, carry a miswak everywhere you go. Ditch the commercial toothpaste, all of that. I'll have a deeper video on this in my school community regarding the in-depth part of oral health, how to incorporate the Sunnah, but also how to navigate modern foods and plaque buildup and coffee. The Prophet ﷺ, he ate different foods than we did. I don't know if he drank coffee, but it's a lot more difficult nowadays to have healthy mouth than back then. Now that we've addressed oral health, we need to start with step 1 of stomach repair, and that's the stomach lining. Fun fact, the stomach lining is 2 times more thin than a human hair. So it goes to show how fragile this is. And that's the only thing that's between you and your bloodstream. So once this becomes compromised, you're essentially, it sounds very scary because it is, you are spilling out toxins and bacteria into your bloodstream. And this is the true source of people's symptoms even outside of gut problems. Skin issues, autoimmune issues, for example. The traditional space loves to talk, not traditional, the modern space loves to talk about how autoimmune is this mysterious thing where your body's attacking itself. It's not. Allah made our body intelligent. It knows how to protect itself. And if there's toxins and bacteria running through the bloodstream, obviously the body's going to attack it, or else you would die. So there is a logical explanation behind it, and it's not mysterious. These diagnoses that they love to say, there's no known cause for it. Yes, there is, and it usually is because of leaky gut when your stomach lining is compromised. So now that we know what to target at the first part of our stomach, we have to go over habits, because everyone starts to change their diet, they start to add in supplements, but not their relationship with food. Food is fuel. It's not pleasure, okay? And you have to reframe the way you're thinking about food. And unfortunately nowadays, it has become pleasure. With all these modern foods, they taste really good. So why would you be motivated to go and eat healthy foods? Now, I hate to always talk about the school community, but there is recipes and a way of having good foods without sacrificing the taste of it. But I want you to understand that food is fuel alone. There's nothing wrong with food tasting good, but you have to understand its purpose. Now, you should break your calories into smaller meals throughout the day, at least at the beginning, because your stomach is the size of this. And when you're inflamed, when you're trying to heal, throwing a ton of food into the stomach at one time is going to prevent any potential healing from happening, especially depending on what foods you're eating. And that goes into the next point. Don't worry about changing your diet incredibly crazy right now. I know I spoke about so many things in this video that isn't about diet, because not only has it been talked about to be so much more important than it really is, it's also something that's hard to do. So I want it to be sustainable for you. When it comes to eating, you need to schedule better. So don't eat within 3 hours or don't sleep within 3 hours of eating food. And ideally, avoid reclining while and after eating food. I had a video going over this on my Instagram. How can you expect to heal when gravity is fighting against you? Your stomach is going down. So when you're upright, your digestion is working properly. But when you're laying on your side, it's just sitting. It's fermenting. That's a big cause of bacterial overgrowth, which is what a lot of people have. And one that sucks for a lot of people is stop waking up and immediately grabbing a coffee or an energy drink on an empty stomach. It's completely destroying you, and you should be having a meal at least before consuming this. And what's funny is it's actually the opposite with the coffee, is don't have ice cold beverages with your meals. This is very common in the West, where you always order an ice cold beverage with your meal. I was surprised here when I came to Indonesia. Most of Asian cultures like this. They never really have a drink with their meal, and I had to get used to this. It sucked for me. But if they do, it's usually warm. It's not cold. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I know that was a lot of information, but it's actionable, sustainable, permanent protocols that you should start today. And you're going to notice an immediate improvement, even though you haven't even changed the foods that you're eating. But talking about foods and supplementation and how to implement this into your routine, my school community goes over all of that. If you don't want to go through this alone, if you want a community, if you want guidance for this, that's what my community is for. But if you're in a more urgent situation, you can fill out the form below and get in touch with me personally to see if one-on-one coaching is a better option. But may Allah grant you healing, the strength to recover, and may Allah permit that recovery. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.